take the dough, and we're just gonna do a couple of slap and folds, right? This is to build strength. And then we're gonna make just a general ball shape. We'll let this sit for a little bit. At the pizzeria, we actually let this sit for about a half hour before we start our final shape. And then we let that rise for approximately 6 to 8 hours in order to get to the temperature that we need it to go. So really quickly, we're just gonna give it the final shape. We want a nice tight seal. This eventually is gonna help the pizza rise. Put it in our dough box. You could use a sheet tray at home and cover it with some plastic wrap. And then, if you can see, in 4 to 5 hours, once it comes to room temperature, it's gonna start to look like this. All right, now we're ready to make pizza. We have our oven preheated as high as it can possibly go. We're gonna strip this. We use a little bit more flour than I think most pizzerias are accustomed to, and we're gonna start the process. We're keeping the outside, right, the crust, the cornicione. As that goes into the oven, it'll start to rise. And that's one of the things that we like to see in all of our pizzas. If you don't want to stretch like this, I would say that using a rolling pin or even just taking the dough and flattening with your hands is fine if you're a little bit tentative. We like to try and get as uniform as we possibly can. And then at the last second, we start stretching the dough like this. So there we go. All right. We're gonna start to transfer this to a sheet tray. So this is a standard sheet tray with a silk hat. We're gonna put a little bit of flour on the bottom. We feel like this helps simulate what a modern deck oven would do. We're gonna put this onto the tray, and now we're gonna start to build our pizza. So as we said, this is a funghi pizza or a mushroom pizza. We like to use a few big flavors in all of our pizzas that we do at Radici. We don't like to put a lot of different toppings on everything. So we like to kind of let everything speak for itself, but we do try and source the best possible produce that we can. We're gonna start with a little bit of fresh basil. We use a lot of herbs at the pizzeria. This is some fresh oregano. This is a cow's milk. This is a sheep's milk pecorino. Very young, about 30 days, so it's not quite what we normally think of as a grating cheese. This is a great melting cheese. If you wanted to use another kind of cheese, mozzarella, or even a harder grating cheese like Parmigiano, you could use that, no problem. We're gonna finish. Have a little bit of sliced garlic. This is some lightly salted cabbage that we let sit at room temperature, just to add a little bit of sweetness once the pizza cooks. This almost roasts alongside the pizza. And finally, we're gonna add a little bit of roasted oyster mushrooms. You can use whatever mushrooms you like. Just make sure that they're seasoned and they're seasoned well before they go onto the pizza. Okay. Last thing before it goes into the oven, we always make sure that we use, this is a unfiltered Sicilian olive oil, the best olive oil that you can find, just to finish. Now, this pizza looks a little bit small, right? We're gonna just make an adjustment at the end and we start to stretch out that cornicione. It's one of the reasons why we wanted to leave it a little bit bigger at the beginning. And as we can see, we're starting to get closer to where we wanna be in terms of size. So again, we have our oven preheated as high as it can possibly go. We're gonna put this in and we'll see. And the finished product, this will be about, depending on your oven, this will be about 6 minutes or so. We flip halfway through just to turn around so that it bakes evenly. And at this point, we're gonna finish this with a lemon salsetta, which is a sauce that we make from whole lemons, sugar, and extra virgin olive oil. At home, if you wanted to, you could just squeeze a little bit of lemon. We find it gives a great color, great acidity, and a little bit of a contrast to all the richness that's going on in this pizza.